All right, so this dark money thing, it's not going away. Francesca Fiorentini had Taylor Lorenz on, and I am very, very interested in hearing what she has to say. So let's take a look at this interview.
Have with me, I'm very, very excited to bring in my next guest, who has a new article out called "A Dark Money Group is Secretly Funding High-Profile Democratic Influencers." Let me get the official. Not only did she write this, but she's a best-selling author of the book Extremely Online: The Untold Story of Fame, Influence, and Power on the Internet. She's the host of the Power User podcast and the founder of the tech and online culture newsletter that everyone needs to subscribe to. If you're not, what are you doing? It's called User Magazine. Please welcome Taylor Lorenz. Taylor, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, so glad to have you. Thanks for being here. I've been thinking about you, obviously, because you had this polemic article. You had an article out in Wired, and I just wanted to let you know that no matter how much people are talking about you, you're not the biggest Taylor of the week.
I know.
Oh, damn.
Is that rough?
I'm never the biggest Taylor, unfortunately.
Oh, good. Somebody fixed it right away. It's like, whoa.
I will never
levels
be,
are high.
and I've accepted it.
You'll never.
Kind of looks like the girl from the.
Be the biggest Taylor of the week, man. It's upsetting. But no, obviously we're talking about the engagement. But who cares? I care more about this piece. It was excellent, and I want to talk to you all about it, and then give some of my thoughts, because I know you got to bounce, because you are in it. You've been in it from as soon as this was published. But just tell me about, specifically, like from the beginning, like why did you think that this was an important story to write about the dark money that is funding some Democratic influencers?
Sure. So I have reported extensively on influence schemes, like you mentioned, in my best-selling book, not to be the promo girl, but Extremely Online, which is a history of the content creator industry. I write extensively about political influence and just influence schemes generally. I've reported on, I covered the first Trump campaign back in 2016 on the campaign trail. I was in the room at the Hilton the night that he was elected with all of the other right-wing influencers. I was at the Deplora Ball, their event that they all celebrated. So I've been covering the rise of right-wing influence operations for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I've also covered some left-wing ones. So I covered, for instance, Biden briefing, TikTokers about the war in Ukraine. I've covered, the FDA or CDC, I can't remember, the government organization working, in 2021 to push the COVID vaccines with influencers, like all of these different initiatives, like public health initiatives. And I've written a lot about their role in elections. I wrote a lot about, the ways Democrats were leveraging, or really not leveraging very effectively, online influence throughout Kamala Harris's campaign. So this is something that's about, I would say probably 80% of what I do is report on the right and the far right. Mm-hmm. But then, I of course cover Democrats too. And this is interesting to me because there's been a lot of money from the donor world flowing into the influencer space. I think finally, after losing several cycles over.
Hey, I left work early after the misogyny in corporate America.
The
wow.
Democrats have recognized the internet. They're like,
yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry to hear
wait
that.
Wait a minute. Who are all these people on? Do we need to go on podcasts?
If you'd like to elaborate, I welcome you to, but also I'm not pressuring you to.
Like, they're starting to realize it. And so these donors are reading these New York Times headlines about groups like Chorus, for instance, which Ken Bensinger announced in the New York Times months ago, and was like, and they're pouring money into these things.
Oh, damn it. I missed 420.
Mm-hmm. And we have yet to sort of see how these programs are structured, how they play out, who's operating them, who's funding them, et cetera. Teddy Schleifer has done some great work. Kat,
by the way, it's laundry day, so sweatpants.
Washington Post has done some great work. There's many reporters covering this. I know I'm like a lightning rod, so when I cover it, like there's drama, but like I am not actually the only one that has even written about these sorts of.
I think I've also mentioned that I only have like a certain amount of genes, so
schemes. But I thought this was a really interesting. I thought this was a really relevant one because it's
horrible day. I had rage tears. Decided it was time to call out and save my sanity.
And a very high chorus has been very.
I'm glad that you took the mental health time, and I'm so sorry that sucks. Well, You know what? I hope that we can give you some good vibes here for the
Very high
rest of the show.
profile since
Right.
it's launched.
And so it is about this, what they call themselves like a creator incubator program, co-founded by Brian Tyler Cohen, and who is the other person?
There's
I don't
Stuart
know.
Perlmutter, I think, co-founded it. There's a group of them that sort of co-founded it together. Brian
Got
Tyler
it.
Cohen is definitely like the main, he's sort of the public face of a lot of their
Right.
efforts.
Right.
I swear to God, did they like have a thing?
And so what you found,
Because like the way that the way that Brian went at her and the way she reacts to Brian Tyler Cohen's name, I get the I get X energy.
found out,
I'm just saying.
and I think this has been sort of part of
I might be
the,
misreading this,
some of the
but-
influencers who were named or pushing back on. You found out that actually they weren't allowed to disclose that much about Chorus, and certainly not about. I mean,
So let me clear this up. I think you're getting confused. So one
Tell
thing
me.
that they've done is very successfully is try to conflate Chorus, which has always been public. Again, read about their launch in the New York Times. I've also done public reporting on Chorus. I wrote another story about them a couple months ago. Chorus has never been a secret. This funding scheme was not reported. And their ties to the 1630 fund, this very, very big liberal dark money group, was never reported. So when these influencers say, well, I've always been able, look, here I am on the Chorus website. Yeah, no one's disputing that your affiliation with Chorus wasn't public, but you accepting, up to $8,000 a month, that is what was not disclosed. And you signing a contract that has various clauses in it, that was not reported on before. And so what they're doing is they're getting online and they're sort of trying to conflate that so that people who don't really know and probably didn't read the article are seeing this and they're like, well, I thought this was always public.
right.
Not the part that we reported. If it was public, it wouldn't be news. And I actually thought that they would. I'm shocked to this day that they didn't circumvent my story and kill my story by just, when I reached out to comment weeks ago, they could have just called up the Washington Post and done a promotional type piece like, we're excited to announce our first class of funding. You know what I mean? That's what I thought would happen. And
They would say that they would sort of embrace, like, hey, we're funded by the 1630 fund. Yes, it's a dark money group. So
no, what I thought that they would do is call up like Washington Post or something else and be like, hey, look, we have this amazing new funding scheme for creators. Oh yeah, 1630 fund. Yes, it's maybe a line at the end about the dark money, but don't pay attention to that.
I'll be honest. When I was listening, just to your comment here, without herd vaccinations, we would still be on lockdown. I heard something recently on Majority Report where somebody said bending the curve, and it immediately gave me like COVID anxiety, where I was just like, whoa.
That was really amazing. Is all with a bunch
But it did remind me. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the whole point.
of promotional quotes
And we did essentially accomplish the goal where we like brought down hospitalizations.
and materials and
Right.
stuff. Like they could have preempted my story and done that. But
Right.
instead, they went this route where like their creators are instead just like lying, smearing me, calling like fake news, and really doing actually the MAGA playbook.
They kind of are. Well, I noticed that specifically, again, David Pakman threatening a fucking lawsuit.
To discredit me.
And it wasn't even serious. It was like I might have to do a defamation lawsuit.
Yeah, which is terrifying. And I've written before about how sort of Democrats have embraced this anti-media, anti-journalistic playbook, in previous
I do
instances.
want to talk about the reaction because I think it's very telling and important. But just tell me about the 1630 fund from what you understand, which is the fund that is backing Chorus.
So in the article, or sorry, in the contracts, they call Chorus a project of the 1630 fund. They have this fiscal relationship. The 1630 fund is a very well-known group that you can go read tons about. It really became quite large in the wake of Citizens United, as a lot of these big dark money groups is. And dark money just means like
Found a bone in my Chipotle chicken bowl. Got mad, cooled off, kept eating, then found another one. I'm boycotting Chipotle. I would.
not a lot of disclosure. So we don't know, like, there's people that give millions of dollars to these groups. We don't know who they are.
Call corporate too.
Or we don't know what they're.
Although, careful with that, because they'll just give you, like, corporate's whole thing is, we're going to give you a whole bunch of free food. It's like, no, you don't get it. I don't want that.
Their motivations are. There's just not transparency. So overall, Democrats have always
Taylor is doing media blitz.
actually traditionally said that these groups are a bad thing because they overwhelmingly help the right, like the Koch network and all that. Like they traffic in dark money all the time. 1630 Fund sort of emerged as a liberal response to that, and they've given lots of money. I think.
All right, sir. Why are we here? I had a bone in my Chipotle. Hold on.
It was Politico, according to Politico, it was like 400 million they distributed in 2020. They've really gotten a lot of power since Trump's first term.
Almost as like in a reaction to Citizens United, but not trying to
Tinkerbell, you said it. I didn't want to
overturn Citizens United, but use the very methods that the right does, which is
yeah, guys. Taylor will be on this space tomorrow.
Dark money groups.
Yeah, just Tinkerbell, you say the time.
To kind of
I don't want to be on the hook for this.
Fight fire with fire, right? To do the exact same thing.
And a smaller scale, of course, because the right. It's nothing compared to what the right has, but yes.
And so, you know, I think there's a lot of questions I have, but I do think that maybe let's just get out like the
4 p.m. Eastern.
The things that we've heard, like, oh, this story wasn't fact checked. This is wrong. What was the fact checking process for your Wired piece? And I know there have not been corrections issues.
No, there are no corrections on the story.
Oh, I just realized I'm gonna have to miss that.
I know. I love this idea that Wired is just like my personal blog that I just publish on. The story went through the same editorial review that Wired is known for. It had many different editors looking at it. It went through legal review. It went through everything. Every fact is sort of substantiated by reporting material. We don't just have the contracts.
Okay, see, a lot of people were trying to even insinuate that, like, as far as like the BTCs, they were trying to say that she didn't have that.
We mentioned this in the story,
and that, like, again, the fake news accusations are just not well sourced. Even the people in my audience were going, then Wired wouldn't have published it.
But this is backed up by Zoom call recordings, text messages, emails, like internal emails, messages where the creators are themselves discussing the nature of the contract with each other, letters that they sent to the company. Like, we have.
Damn, that means they probably have Discord, copies of the Discord.
A lot. And so we gather all that reporting material and put together a story. Now, I think a lot of people, especially the young ones, I'm so old, but on TikTok, like, they're used to this like receipts, like drama tube culture. And they're like, post the receipts, like post the Zoom call, post the text messages, post the,
or that's just called journalism.
We can't do that without revealing our sources.
It's called journalism, but they repackage that as receipts.
And that would be horrible and detrimental. And we would never do that. So,
because the other problem with this is insinuating that, text messages and metadata cannot be faked.
When journalism outlets, and I think
definitely can.
This is a huge problem that we're seeing, where people don't trust journalism outlets because they don't trust the reporters to have verified sources, right? And so they think, well, if you're not posting the contracts, then you have something to hide. What we have said from the jump is that we would love for these creators, the small parts of the contract that the creators have posted have actually validated our reporting, but we don't know if the contracts are watermarked by spacing. They have identifying info in them in some cases. So we can't.
And people were getting, we're getting different. Some people were getting $8,000 a month, and some people were definitely not getting $8,000 a month.
Right.
I'm sure.
There's different tiers, although I think there's commonality. We do have several contracts from several tiers, but yeah, it's just
somebody pointed out that the ones that were doing the 250 tier, they were definitely selling out for like way too little.
Can't post our source.
And I was like, okay, crass and funny
material, guys. That's unfortunately not like how journalism is. But I would encourage these creators to post it. If they want to really refute it, then I encourage them to post whatever they would like.
So the question around Chorus is, yes, some people were very open about it. I've talked to people who were part of the program.
Open about Chorus.
Yes.
Again, if Chorus either adjusts their stuff where they are just completely open about it, and they adjust the you need to run everything by us bullshit, then okay, because they're trying to posit that they are not that, while when on paper they are 1000% that.
We're not open about this program.
Excuse me.
Which has never been reported on.
So the actual, like, the culling of the 90 influencers, interesting. I've been told that it was to protect the identity of some of the people if they were like creators in red states. Let's put that aside.
What to protect the identity? Like, the point is you're taking undisclosed political money.
Now,
If
here's
you
my question is, did they know? Because if you're participating in this program,
All right, her attitude right there. That's kind of why people get annoyed with her.
were the creators told, here's where we get our funding?
So in the contract, it mentions like the funding, stuff. And actually, there's one creator who's been on TikTok recently and which I didn't, he's not my source. I know everybody is sort of saying this, that he's my source and everything. He actually has some level of security clearance, and he received this offer, and he's been on TikTok.
Tenon is 1,000%, Russian asset money, whereas the 1630 fund still falls in with the parameters of a like a super PAC. So even if it is dark money, they still have to be like, registered or whatever.
TikTok.
It's the way that they can make sure that Russia isn't funding all of our politicians.
Talking about
under the same protections. I don't know all of it, but I do know just the basics of it.
That he had a lawyer review it. And these lawyers have, a lot of these influencers generally have lawyers and agents and managers and stuff. But
one of the Vanguard guys was like the DNC is trying to build an influencer clone army, and the DNC will execute Order 66.
He was saying that he couldn't accept the contract because with
well, no, that would insinuate that we're Jedis.
Security clearance, you don't know the.
Oh wait, no, that does work. All right, no, it's still all right. It fits.
People with
execute Order 66.
This funding structure, you didn't know who's funding you, and so he could potentially lose his security clearance because what if it's some foreign actor? What if it's some whatever? I don't know if it would be a foreign actor.
So that's why they didn't accept.
Well, exactly. It's because there wasn't enough transparency around that. And so, do I think some creators honestly just read the contract and didn't sign it very much? Potentially. But what I would say to those creators is that you knew that you were accepting money, and you knew that money was a politically affiliated money, which you didn't just.
I'm surprised that Francesca is actually being as she's pushing back against this.
Disclose. And I think anytime you have influencers accepting money without disclosure, no matter what, it's bad. And anytime you have influencers accepting money for some political purposes, and you're also not disclosing that money, I think that's a huge disservice, especially when you're a content creator that's positioning yourself as a news source or a journalist online. Because I will tell you, as a journalist, you have to disclose your funding.
Release the tweets and TikToks.
Otherwise, imagine I'm taking tens of thousands of dollars from some political group, people have the right to know that.
If I have the chance to take $8,000 a month for doing my show, I'm not going to begrudge you at all. Thank you.
You can claim all day. Okay, it doesn't.
Again, I hope you guys understand that if anything like that were to ever happen, it would be under the no, you guys do not get to tell me what to fucking say.
Affect my content.
Also, I want it would be with the full understanding. It's like no. I want again. I said this yesterday. Sued is a big one too.
And
it's like I don't want to get sued.
Say this stuff anyway, but the public should know that.
That's also why I had to look into this. With certain types of not subscribers. What do you call them? The advertisers.
Again, we want more transparency in our political media ecosystem.
And I think this is sort of where there's a couple of broader themes that your article really touches on in the discussions that it has kicked off.
Release the tweets and TikToks.
Are an example of the fact that we actually need to be having these conversations.
Oh my God, that's
conversations.
I just realized that's the Order 66.
And I think
I'm sorry, I want to listen to this, but damn, that's funny. Because realistically, that's kind of what people were worried about. I do know that on the broader, in the broader discussions about this, people were saying that even if there were creators that were not following this, that they were doing all their stuff. And that one girl that we saw that she kept showing the contract and she's like, I don't do this. It's like, you're breaking your contract. So that's not exactly the flex you think it is. But then on top of it, it's they could just pull the rug from under you. And then it's what's to say that they all of a sudden don't change the terms of service?
One of them is this line between what is an
You gotta watch her debate Destiny happening now.
Influencer, right? The question of and you have someone who's written about it. It's
is it on Destiny's channel or is it on her channel?
I'm assuming nebulous, but that I think
Ecto One Spangler, awesome fucking name, by the way.
I think that
my favorite Ecto One that I had was the new Ghostbusters one from when I was a kid.
I would not call myself a journalist personally. I have been a journalist before. I'm more of a correspondent. I'm more of like a producer.
Thanks, LT. I appreciate that.
And certainly a podcast host and a comedian. I try to be accurate. I am upfront, but I wouldn't call myself a journalist, and I definitely wouldn't call myself an influencer. But I think we are also in this age where those things are collapsing. And so what's interesting is I would also
I'm glad that Franny's saying this.
not call an influencer.
What up, LT?
However, you are someone with an online platform that's huge, and you've got a growing YouTube channel, and and so you have
I started
kind of,
as I also started independent blogging. And and I've written so much about these tensions, by the way. Especially when it
No, but this is where it comes across as fucking annoying because you're technically in a position where it's like, oh, so you're in a position of comfort where you make enough but you're going to begrudge smaller creators from even, trying to get the fucking bag.
It comes to news
Because that's how it does come across. Like, this is where people saw it as gatekeeping.
content creators.
yes. And so that's what I think is sort of this like, the nebulous kind of like area that probably is part of why you're receiving hate, and is also probably why these kinds of funds are choosing influencers who aren't actually journalists, right? These are not independent journalists. They are, they're maybe hot take machines, or they're funny.
Isn't that what I am? I'm a hot take machine, spicy pep.
Or whatever whatever they're doing. I'm not saying they're not bringing added value. I did want to go back to what you said, because, from some limited folks I've
my spicy takes.
spoken to, it seems like they said, well, Chorus didn't tell us what to say. And this has been another sort of sticking point.
Yeah, see, Crystal and Sagar's take,
Chorus have control
I think she made a good point of the implicit grooming and not explicitly dictating content.
over or not. And in one of the, posted contracts, as you mentioned, this creator puts up the contract, and in it says that they must disclose to the Chorus newsroom personnel.
Dude, I am either having a severe allergy attack, or I'm getting sick. I think it's allergies.
Any engagements with government officials or others on topics related to Chorus's policy agenda that the contractor arranges through other means. In other words, kind of, if you're going to interface with politicians, that's got to come through us. And they, in fact, had set up a whole newsroom where you have, politicians who can come and be interviewed by Chorus participants. It all sounds cool. It brings me to sort of a third point, but right there, you sort of see that, like, okay, if you were talking about broadly policy agendas, they have to be in line with Chorus. And if you're interviewing politicians, you kind of got to vet them through Chorus. I think there's differing opinion on, from what I've heard, the extent to which they actually did that. Like, maybe they didn't get every piece of content, vetted by Chorus, or, like, there wasn't a lot of,
well, the creators can speak
punishment.
They can say all day there was an enforcement of it, whatever. I think that it's funny that you bring up that video, because that girl in the video is claiming that she's sort of debunking, and then she puts the actual language of the contract on screen behind her, which confirms our exact reporting on it. So it's very funny. Every time they share these things, it's like it confirms more of our reporting. I mean, I listen when these creators say, like, I wasn't punished, there wasn't enforcement on this. Okay, I mean, they're a month, 2 months.
I'm surprised that Franny's. Guys, I didn't see this coming. I didn't know Francesca was going to be push back this hard
into the program.
This is actually
totally be telling the truth, right? But I think that the point is that they signed a contract agreeing to specific terms, and contracts are theoretically enforceable, right? And we don't know, like, how this program would have played out a year from now, 2 years from now. If this is all undisclosed, we don't know. Like, this is why
I'll just disclose this. The the worst class grade that I've ever had was in music theory.
I'm advocating for more
I failed out of it.
transparency, because if you don't disclose anything, and then say they do start enforcing things, like it's eroding trust in our political system. So we know where in our article
damn it
do we say, like, oh, and they're given sentences to read on camera. No. But exactly that part that you just read, right, where it says, like, in line with Chorus's agenda.
Shut up, Kirk. Everybody here.
Whatever. I asked Chorus. I sent Chorus multiple requests for comment. I said, like, what is your policy agenda? What do you, because, like, because it's some of that language is quite vague, and you could see how these creators could interpret it different ways. And again, I also just want to say that we spoke to multiple content creators within this very program. I know that they've been very loud online.
Everybody follow Kurt.
Many of them. But we got
Check out his music.
You know, we heard from people in this program prior to publication. So we're also reflecting how they interpreted, you know, these contracts.
Sure. I did actually, there's two questions I have. One of them, you know, I want to talk about sort of this question of dark money in general, and I also want to talk about the personal attacks. And I need to play this, I apologize, this little piece from Brian Tyler Cohen, who is one of the co-founders of Chorus, who opens a video responding to your article, calling you an internet troll, openly, saying at risk of giving an internet troll more cred or more shine or whatever. And then he says this.
And in fact, it becomes clear who her efforts help when you hear stuff like this.
Genuinely, I kind of like Taylor Lorenz because I know that she actually believes what she says.
Totally
You get what I'm
agree.
saying?
So yeah.
What is wrong with Tyler? Tucker Carlson is like, what the? What a dweeb.
Generally don't align myself with friends of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. I continue to believe that the left needs massive investments into the
What a weirdo.
independent media space.
Are you friends with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens because they like
First of all,
that you seem genuine?
They're making fun of me in that clip. They're making fun of me of the fact that I still believe in COVID. By the way, we're in an ongoing pandemic and COVID is surging again right now. Everyone should be wearing a mask. And that's what they're making fun of in that clip. They're not like, we love Taylor. She's our friend. We hang out with her. I've never met, actually I met Tucker once and he wanted to take a picture with me to make fun of me. Tucker Carlson is responsible for my parents being driven out of their home in the middle of the night because they've been swatted many times. He has driven so much hate and harassment towards me that there is a literal, I think it's NYU, some university did an entire case study on it. I think Institute for Strategic Dialogue did one too.
Tucker acting geeky around a woman is the least surprising thing today.
The amount of vitriol that I have received from my critical reporting on both of them is just absurd. The idea that I'm friends, that would be like I'm buddy with, Chaya Raichik from Libs of TikTok. It's just such a
just because you interviewed her.
misrepresentation of my relationship, which is quite antagonistic.
That is, yeah. You know what? I'm glad that they're putting it through this lens because realistically, that was a very bad faith attack.
Or Tim Pool, right? Who took out an entire billboard in Times Square to call me a liar.
I mean, because the way that BTC and David Pacman, they're raging out the way that Trump usually does, where it's like, nah, dude, this kind of means that you're guilty of something. This usually comes from a place of feeling like you're guilty of something. And then you're just like, no, just that bad? No.
And also,
don't call us out like that because now you're embarrassing us.
Put massive efforts towards this huge smear campaign against me. I have reported so critically on the right for years. And, these people that are like, well, she was at the inauguration. Yeah, for Rolling Stone reporting on TikTok.
And like I said,
TikTok-
I've reiterated this a bunch, but I'm going to reiterate it again. If they change their terms and they lock them down where it is just no, have the money. We will still do what we're doing. But they also can get some credibility by going with some, I don't know, slightly farther left content creators. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh my gosh, it's in the pudding.
Influence, on the Trump administration. It's very silly and it's intentionally bad faith. And I think it's extra egregious because I have suffered the exact same type of smear campaign that Brian Tyler Cohen and his little buddies are running on me right now to discredit me and call me a liar and all of this stuff and cause a lot of material harm to me. I have dealt with that from the right for years. And it's so gross to see them leverage the exact MAGA playbook.
But I did want to ask, because I do think that the reaction can often be more revelatory. And as someone, and I'm going to be 100%, when I read the article, I was like, this is a story. But also I thought, there was that fear part of me, which was like, oh no, what's the impact on this? Don't we need, incubator programs? And yes, fight fire with fire. And then I saw some of the reactions of people who have not been open about being in the program, but who I clearly know know we're in the program because of their reaction. And then things like this, calling you an internet troll, saying that, like, you know, because Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson's like, yes, we're mockingly saying they liked you, that somehow you're friends with them. It's so bad faith. And you're absolutely right. It is, when people say blue MAGA, you guys, this is what we're talking about. I have faced it down constantly, especially when I talk about Gaza, right? And people are like, you never even wanted Kamala to win anyway. And it's like, you honestly don't know who I am and you've never listened to my coverage. And I am not a journalist. So it wouldn't be fair to say to
Blue MAGA,
Taylor,
yeah.
you didn't want Kamala to win anyway, because Taylor is a journalist and she was covering all of this. You know, she covers this from a journalistic perspective. Yes, you have your opinions. And
Also, can I just say something?
Yeah.
Obviously, I would prefer Kamala Harris to be president instead of Donald Trump. Like, that's so stupid for anybody to say that. I'm not very political. I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm not like a, you know, like rah Democratic Party person. Obviously, I'm very critical of the Democratic Party, but like, it's just these people that are like, oh, she's a wrecker. She's like, very silly, very silly. Yeah. I criticize Trump constantly. And you know what, who else has done great reporting on the Trump administration and specifically Doge is Wired. Wired, I would argue, has done, I mean, part of the reason I pitched them this story is because they have done, in my opinion, the best reporting on the intersection of politics and the internet and technology, like in our entire media landscape. Like they are peak. There's people like McKenna Kelly. McKenna Kelly is like the #1 journalist covering like content creators, influencers, the internet and politics. Like she's the OG. I cover that as like part of my beat, but I also cover entertainment industry stuff. Like that's McKenna's whole world. She works at Wired. Like there's all these amazing journalists at Wired. And so when these people say Wired magazine lies and they have no editorial standards and they're fake news and all that stuff, you're eroding trust in a media institution that does phenomenally important work just because you personally don't like me calling out your favorite influencer. It's really corrosive.
Well, I actually wanted to just tell people in mid-convo, because I know you have to go in a little bit, but to please go to Taylor's YouTube channel and watch her almost hour-long video, Secret Democrat Influencer Funding Programs Revealed, because I want to talk about the bigger issues here, to me, which are the kinds of people who were chosen for the program and the kinds of content that they created. And I think it speaks to what you've said in your, you know, when you laid this out on your YouTube page.
Thanks, Karen.
Basically about the Democratic Party writ large believes that they have only a messaging problem. And it's interesting coming from, I'm curious about you saying that, because you're someone who's been very pro, like, you know, supporting and paying influencers and paying people to do this, like, you know, like you have to like play in this world if you're going to be in politics because the right has been doing it.
Yeah.
But also picking and choosing the gatekeepers or having only people who will have certain questions for these politicians is very revealing. And so I see the creators and I'm like, I know I've seen what your content is.
What I was saying.
You don't speak about Gaza. You don't have an adversarial conversation with a Democratic politician. And again, I'm someone who's like, I have people on to talk about the great work they do, but at some point in that interview, I'm going to push back on some shit that they did or some money that they received. That's just what I believe my job is as a not journalist, but an interviewer, like a good interviewer, right? And you're not seeing that from these accounts. It does feel like...
You could just call yourself a streamer or content creator. There's nothing wrong with it. Jesus.
And I think you well documented the ways that the Biden-Harris campaign curated the influencers that they will allow into their sphere around the election, and that effectively you're kind of drawing a through line, even though they lost the election, you're drawing a through line until today. And what's, you know, the fact that it doesn't seem like they've learned on the message. They still just think it's about messaging and getting the right influencers to sort of applaud a party that is more unpopular than Republicans right now, somehow more unpopular.
I think the lesson that a lot of Democrats took from losing so badly in November is that Kamala Harris needs to go on more podcasts. And if we just have if we fund a few more podcasts, you know, that's going to fix it. And it is the fact that actually the Democrats continue to embrace this.
That's not necessarily true. A lot of this is in response to Turning Point.
See this like billionaire sort of pro billionaire, like elite
That's one thing I'll disagree with her on.
kind of policy agenda that doesn't help working people. That
No,
you know,
no, because after having the conversation yesterday with one of those guys who he watches Andrew Wilson, do you understand that even the largest content creator on the left still has maybe a quarter of the following that like a Ben Shapiro and these guys do? Like, it is kind of insane.
they're willing to throw marginalized
So like, I don't know.
people under the bus, like trans people,
there.
disabled people, lie about COVID being over, to force people back to work with no labor protections, things like this. I mean, dismantle public health, which Biden did a lot of, among so many other things. I spoke to a young climate activists for this story that I did last year for the Washington Post, who felt like they were blacklisted from the White House after speaking out about, Biden failing to live up to his promises on climate, and how that wasn't really even a conversation with Kamala Harris. And, there's just been so many issues that it seems like the Democrats simply don't care about. They care about appealing to these wealthy billionaire donors. And I think that that's a huge problem. And I think that they have a fundamental policy problem. And we know that because look at other candidates that are embracing more populist messaging and populist policies, I should say, rather, because it's not just messaging. Like Zoran Mamdani, right? Like, has a huge amount of support. And look at how the Democratic Party treats him. Like, they don't actually want candidates and people that resonate on the internet and resonate with young people and resonate with young men. They want people that they can control, that are just going to put a new spin on their same, losing policies.
I mean, what's interesting is like
there.
I got an interview with Zoran before he won the nomination, and that wasn't through any gatekeeper. I mean, that was just my producer reaching out. You can just do the work to reach out yourself to try to get these interviews. And it is also really, it's deafening how silent some of the creators in the program and Brian Tyler Cohen himself have been when it comes to his candidacy, when it comes to Zoran in general. And then
that's not fair. See, this is where I was trying to be a little more fair, because no, BTC has actually covered Zoran's campaign pretty fairly.
On top of that, you're like,
he's been a big proponent of AOC, Bernie Sanders. I don't like the way that they're trying to rewrite the fact that he's some DNC shill in the way that Midas Touch is. Like, God.
Brian will sort of say, look, this is an...
I know, it's annoying, but God damn it, some fucking nuance would be nice occasionally, where they just weren't like, so, okay, yeah, you know what?
incubator program. We're trying to help people and get them paid. And I absolutely personally believe...
disclose it. So disclose it.
Right. And
that is the bigger problem.
And also, the kinds of people that you're choosing. I mean, you are effectively being a gatekeeper, and you've also been you've been silent on Gaza, like, as a
Nice touches blue MAGA to me.
Like, that's the way.
I don't like using blue MAGA even, because like I've been saying, even if I disagree with these people come election time, I don't want to fucking turn them off.
You roll. And so I think it's, again, we have to really talk about like that, the gatekeeper part of this.
This idea that we can constantly like lose people's support and just be like, no, it'll be organic. It's like, no, you have to sell fucking ideas.
Yeah.
And always doing this thing where like we're always trying to be like divisive. I don't like that.
And I want to say something on that,
guys.
because these creators, especially, I know Gaza is such a hot button issue and other things too, but like, there are 90 creators in this program. We were able to confirm a couple dozen, but there are a lot who we still don't know, because again, this is a sprawling program, and we know all the creators that accepted the most money, but there are also many that, accepted lower tiers of money, and we're not 100. We couldn't 100% confirm. So I have said from the jump, like, we should be able to transparently evaluate this cohort. If you feel like this is a very diverse cohort in terms of their stance on Gaza or in terms of whatever, then release the names of the 90 creators in their program and release them from their NDAs and allow them to publicly talk about the program. That way we can look at the list of 90 influencers and make whatever, judgment we want to make about how they're choosing with the ideology of their cohort class.
I know it's more than 90.
Right now, we don't know the true sort of...
I think it was the 90 that qualified for the 8K.
Ideological breakdown of that class, because we don't have the transparency and the names. And throughout all of this, as they're hurling these ridiculous, insults...
That is also kind of crazy. So, like, all right, so if there's 90 influencers, has anybody outside of BTC really come out and just been like, yeah, I'm part of this, except for that one girl?
At me. they're not doing anything to make this program more transparent. They updated their website a few times to say, like, actually we're nonpartisan, which is hilarious because the whole premise of it is to help the Democrat, like, it's to push Democrats sort of massively, it's to help the Democrats with their sort of like internet problem. But again, like, we should know what creators are in this program, and we should know, who accepted payment, and like they should disclose that. It's not that hard.
Here was a moment that I thought was kind of telling from that same creator. I don't know their name, I'm sorry, but who sort of released and had a very long, it's sort of 10-minute breakdown about why they took this money after they had like, misgivings about it. Quote tweeted by Jon Favreau of Crooked Media.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the Pac-Man thing, no love lost there, and
basically saying
no.
He's been a long time on my shit list.
That's Ali O'Brien. She's not being transparent. That's the whole point. In that whole
this is interesting
monologue that she does, she's not talking.
And LT, I hope that you understand where I'm coming from. It's just like
about the actual funding thing that we've reported on.
Sure. No,
I got some annoying boomers in my life that I don't want to necessarily lose their support
on about the stuff that.
Because right now, I have people that are like, what you would consider blue MAGA that are in, they want to support guys like Mom Donnie, and they are more willing to support, Bernie Sanders. Because I started showing them that, look, Bernie Sanders is doing this Fight Oligarchy tour, and that really, they're responding well to that.
That's already out there. So I haven't seen a single creator actually talk about the private, like, aside from sharing like she shared like a tiny screenshot, but she's not, I would say that she's still not being
she responds to your article, and I felt like this was deeply naive and telling.
This program is imperfect, but I think that I can do good from it. And I think that the threat of fascism is so big right now that there might need to be an order of operations, right? We need to get...
Well, there's also just like the guaranteed payday. Come on. Jesus Christ. I don't like disingenuous people that can't just be like, yeah, it is nice not having to fucking worry about always having to make my monthly nut while doing content.
Rid of the fascist
like
threat of
Jesus Christ. If some people would just have the balls to say some shit.
I'm trying to take everything over, and then once,
because it's also, who's gonna begrudge that?
Me and us buddies are in power, then we get rid of the dark money mechanism so that nobody in the future has to do this through a dark money funder who's the only one willing to fund something in the future.
Yeah, I'm with Taylor on this one.
All we gotta do, Taylor, is take the dark money now, and then once we're in power, we will prohibit
I'm
dark
sure.
money.
Yes.
That's how most revolutions work.
Yes. This is something that the Democrats...
Once you'd have an armed uprising, you demilitarize, and nobody's allowed to have a gun. Don't we all know how this works throughout history? So this was just like, it was so painful because I'm like, I understand how you might think about this. And again, I think broadly, I am coming from this as a much more like call in, like just me as a person, as a personality. I want to call these people in. And I know, I don't want them to feel irrevocably put on blast or like that people are turning on them. But it's just like, this is very naive and it is untrue. And I also will say that to me,
effing dictionary, stop.
There's two things one other thing we need to talk about, which is that
I like how she even did the little like, TikTok point,
People are calling themselves progressive and leftist because they don't want to say the word liberal. Why? Because they fucking burn that word. Because liberals fucking suck. And everybody knows liberals suck. Because they don't believe in anything. And yes, they take hand over fist corporate cash or dark money. That's what liberals do.
Well said,
and so what's
Franny.
even more disingenuous is a lot of these more centrist creators are being housed under a program that is calling themselves leftist. Like what they don't talk about. Zoran, Palestine, socialism, the fact that the two-party system is fucked. Like they're bootlicking like Gavin Newsom and like, yeah, I believe in redistricting here in California. I think that's great. Do I want him to be president? Fuck no. He's out here sweeping homeless encampments. I don't believe we need that if we're going to win. And I do think it has to do with the fact that both the party and the media apparatus are taking this kind of shady ass money. So I deeply disagree with this way to freedom that is being paved here. And this sort of like, but we have to fight fire with fire. It's like, nah, man, you don't. You tried it and you fucking lost.
Well, you don't have to do that in secret, right? Like, I mean, if these creators, again, which I thought they would do, I thought that they would preempt my story. I still need to understand, like, it's shocking to me because they could have really done that. Like, they could have done this splashy, like, we're announcing our funding. Maybe they're saying, look, like there's an argument, right? There's an argument to be made. I don't agree with that argument, but it's like,
I got
look,
that ready a little too soon.
hey guys, we are taking this money, but unlike the right, like we disclose our funding and we're letting you know. And we think that we feel comfortable taking this funding because we just want to, use all the resources we can to fight, fascism, XYZ. Now, again, I am not like sympathetic to that argument because I think that like what we should do is work to dismantle this like system of like dark money in politics. And also like I think that anytime you're playing this game that's run by billionaires, like you're like throwing like it's like droplets compared to like a waterfall that the right wing has. Like you can't actually compete because the right has like a level of billionaire funding that like no one on the left ever will have. So but again, if say you did want to make that argument, then why is it so secret? Like that's
right. It's okay to disclose it. Like, I mean,
if they had disclosed it, then we could have these deeper conversations.
Sure.
But
all right. But the thing is, I think she was kind of bad at getting to this point with,
still, even to this,
I don't know. That's not fair because like some of these people do like deserve the accusation. So
day are not fully disclosing the terms of the contract. And I do think that people should know. Like when I joined the Omidyar, reporting fellowship or whatever, which is not funded by dark money at all, like I disclose it immediately. I'm like, hey, I'm part of this program. Here's where you can read more about the program. Here's the information down to how much money I'm receiving. It's
right.
all
Just because
public.
he's a billionaire doesn't mean it is secretive. And
it's not dark money. Billionaires fund dark money groups.
I mean, what's interesting, right, is like,
see, I don't know, semantics. That's interesting that you said that, Taylor.
Yes. I mean,
I'm glad that Franny saw through that too. Where it's like, I don't know about that.
It's funny because like George Soros is like, I would argue, I don't believe in billionaires, so I'll just get that out of the way. But he's like one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
He's funded, projects in the West Bank, even Black Lives Matter stuff. Like he has funded great things. And I think Open Society Foundation is arguably still out there like funding people. And I think people should get that money, but they disclose it. It's so there is a reason why folks are bundling stuff in these dark money groups. But yeah, I guess my question to you is, as someone who is, I think, been successful at being an independent journalist, has, an awesome following, I think it is hard to start out. It's hard to know what to do. And yet, like, so what are your thoughts?
Starting to look bummed
on not advice, more
like just in general.
What would you like?
She's just like, I opened up a can of worms on this one
to see, like, what kinds of
because I think that she was expecting people like, Fran and pretty much any of us on the left to just like wholeheartedly be like, yeah, but also I don't know, that was kind of a bonehead thing to say about that billionaire
programs, networks
stuff.
What do you think do maybe pass the smell test, or is it simply about transparency? Tell me.
I mean, I'm a believer in transparency in government overall. So you're never going to convince me that some like secretive program is really the way to go with a lot of this stuff, because I think it backfires. And we've seen this actually time and time again on the right, because the right, again, as I've reported, has been running these schemes for years, and often journalists find out about it and it sort of discredits them, but not really, because no one on the right has any morals or convictions. No one really cares. But, I would love to see creators get more funding. I would love to see the Democrats actually embrace new media. To do that, though, they need to stop trying to control it. And that is what they are addicted to. The Democratic Party is addicted to this top-down control and access. And you saw that at the DNC, convention last year in Chicago, when they booted Hassan Piker out, when they revoked the press credentials. They approved press credentials for multiple content creators for multiple days. Those content creators spoke out about, the genocide or the wrong thing or whatever. Suddenly those press credentials go away for the remaining days. That is just completely unacceptable, in my opinion. And
I'm also going to remind people that in Hassan's case, he was revoked at 3 p.m. on the Sunday of the DNC when it was wrapping up.
So
it's not like he wasn't able to do his weekend coverage. I'm going to at least stipulate that.
Oh, I think that they need to.
Not even trying to run devil's advocate for the fucking DNC. It's just, come on.
even before they worry about the internet, fix their unpopular policy agenda. Because I think, Zoran and some other, I forgot the other guy's name, oh my God, the one in Maine, the new Graham something, the new one that's getting all the hype. Like there are these more populist like candidates that are speaking to the people, that are representing like the public's view on, the genocide and things like that, that it's their policies that are popular.
Yeah.
And these democratic policies of whatever like the billionaires want, and squeezing and telling the left like vote blue no matter who, cycle and cycle and cycle over and over and over, while wealth disparity increases. And again, they do nothing, to stop the threat of the ongoing pandemic, help people get health care. Like what happened to Medicare for all? You know what I mean? Like there's just so much that they've abandoned.
I agree. And I actually think, I think one of the creators who's been very vociferous and even lobbying critiques like basically that you're racist. I think
that I'm racist because they truly believe the term dark money is racist, and they called me a snow roach, which is hilarious because the majority of creators in this program, the ones that we know, are all white.
But I think this person is it Elizabeth Booker? I don't know who. I don't know what their name is.
I don't know about this.
I think we
so
even
this
need
is
to
new
name
to
some
me.
of these people.
No,
honestly,
we don't need. It's fine. But I guess I really bristle at calling your reporting anti-Black or racist.
Of course,
because speaking to the issues that you're talking about.
Wait, who's lying about what?
Like, this person was like, "Oh, the Democratic Party has an anti-Blackness problem," and it's like, yeah. But it's not about creators, or it's not about like representation. It's about that there's been nothing done on criminal justice reform or prison.
Are you talking about the guy that called her out for using the term dark money?
Reform at all. That Black immigrants have been left high and dry. That no one was going to Springfield to help the Haitian migrants as they were bearing down the wrath of fucking Proud Boys. Like, this is the problem. I mean, disproportionately Black Americans are facing all the things the rest of us are facing, but times whatever, like times what structural racism is.
It's obscene.
So like miss me with this. This is an anti-Black smear. I'm just like,
it's just 2015
not gonna fly, y'all.
Tumblr bullshit. That it's like I can't even. I was shocked to see that, and I had to laugh because it is just the most. And also it's like, even if the program was 100% Black women, like it reminds me of that, that like meme that's always viral. That's like the bombs dropping down on, some person in a third world country. And then it's saying like the next one might be sent by a woman or a LGBTQ person. Like it's meaningless. It's just nonsense. It's ridiculous, and it's meaningless, and it's so silly that you have to laugh at it but it's so desperate. And again, it is this type of logic that like, these liberals that have no concept of like class solidarity or, like a structural power, like that's the type of like meaningless bullshit that they fall for.
Yeah.
And I can't believe in 2025 anyone is still falling for it, because again, it is like that is just.
Well, I actually think it's ringing a lot more hollow. I mean, I think that when the dust is settling around this, I think it is raising. Look, I think this is a really important article to write and to read. And I say that as someone who read it and felt immediately like, oh shit, I don't want to tear down other, progressive creators. I want to stop fascism too. But for me, just like I believe in politics, we have to keep our side of the street clean. I believe that when it comes to media or influencers or content creation.
This is very well said.
Keep your side of the street clean. What are you standing for? It's so easy to do an Orange Man Bad. Yeah. I have a literal joke segment called Orange Man Bad, basically making fun of libs who only are like, let's invoke the Orange Man and everything's yeah, man. But the real thing is,
I feel like that's calling out a certain
how the fuck
Lib Mob podcast.
Are we here? It's because Democrats have completely dropped the ball and do not have a message that speaks to people, and no amount of like, spicy clapbacks or like funny videos or
also
whatever.
Might just touch like an MFer.
Getting Zoran Mamdani's street team is going to help you when
we're 2 minutes out.
You don't walk the walk. When you are actually also like a Richie Torres, you're just kind of a siphon for corporate money or like a foreign billionaire. And final point, I'll let you go, is the actual left, people who do talk about Palestine, are socialists, like very much, all this. they
Stan's covering his eyes.
have also taken money from what I believe are shady, outfits. I don't know to the degree that they've disclosed them, but Peter Thiel has invested in leftist creators. David Sachs has invested in leftist creators. There are people that we know, that everyone here listening to my voice, like you might know and love.
All right, my Mountain Time peeps, we're going to be celebrating here in a minute.
Who've accepted billionaire money. And you could be of two minds about that. Well, I like them. And so as long as they didn't have say over their content, hey, get that bag. For me personally, if someone like a Thiel approached me, I would immediately say, fuck, what am I doing that shows that I am like kind of a ripe mark for your money?
Very, very good.
Like,
wow.
What is my
That's a great point.
overall message to my audience? Why am I being chosen for this? And I think the same thing for liberals. And I think the same thing
then again, chorus, you did have to go out of your way and apply for. So
leftists. When you receive money, you have to really think.
I'm sure that they reached out to some, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people applied. Yo,
is there a reason I'm being chosen? Is it because I do or don't critique someone, right?
And I think, yeah, I just want to say, like, I think, like, I cover civil liberties a lot, right? Like, I cover a lot about free speech online, civil liberties online. Like, that is something I have never received money from any of these libertarian groups, but it's something that, like, libertarian people care a lot about. It's like me, a few libertarian groups, and then, like, the Electronic Frontier Foundation or something,
Yeah.
Again, I've never received that money, but I know other content creators, like, in the space that, like, do work with some of these more libertarian orgs or whatever, and are comfortable doing that. And I think that's fine. Like, in some way, like, I have no problem with people building bridges across the aisle to advance very specific.
The problem is, Sylvie, I don't know that.
Like, policy agendas that will ultimately help, like, leftists.
I don't think anybody knows that for, like, a fact.
I think that
I've heard conflicting stories from the DNC, Hassan himself, because he like walked it back even.
Transparency is the key.
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna. I don't care. He got his press credentials revoked from the DNC.
And like you said, the billionaire stuff too is like, I'm being like.
But I'm also trying to just add context. It was literally I was watching it live. It happened at 3 p.m. on that Sunday.
Why is this happening? Like,
last day of the DNC.
Like, what is this? And informing your
That's all.
Audience and bringing your audience into those discussions. Like, the transparency is the thing. And I think also, like, rather than focusing and doing this witch hunt around the content,
because that's what leads me to believe that it might not be the Palestine thing, because he was there the entire time.
Creators on the internet, like, where these,
and also for like the way that the media was working, this is why he was broadcasting from different spots, like throughout the con.
Content creators,
or throughout the it was in the like the media space where they even like put like hockey media. That was one of my favorite ones. I was just like, does he even understand that this is where like they have the Blackhawks?
I'm being victimized.
Sure.
Like, I think we should focus on these structural systems. Push 1630 to like. Like,
the hell?
What other influencer programs are they funding? Are they funding anything? Are they doing any other?
It's a stream skip.
Anything else in this space? Like, support journalist Teddy Schleifer, who's reported so much on this. Other journalists that also report on this stuff, and also just like
where's Jerry McClain when you need him?
In general, I mean, that's the other thing is like you as an independent journalist, Teddy Schleifer, who you mentioned in your longer piece. I'm thinking of my friend, Costanza Eliana, who's been on this show, who's basically reporting on the attacks, the federal attacks on Los Angeles, kind of in the streets by herself, who's like about to, I'm sure she wouldn't mind saying, who feels very disheartened because there's no money in independent journalism. It is tough and it is a slog. I mean, you see the way like LA Taco is out here doing the work of major newsrooms, doing it better than they're doing.
And we only lose money with stuff like this. And also Teddy's at the New York Times. He doesn't need your money. I just mean that his reporting is very good.
Okay.
I'm sure he's getting paid enough. But I don't like, that's what's so frustrating is like, I got so many people unsubscribing from paid like newsletter, like unsubscribes from my paid newsletter because they were like, I hear you're also taking, like basically falling for TikTok misinformation and taking it out on me to the point that it completely negated the very small amount of money that I earned for this freelance story that took me months. So there is no real great financial model for independent journalism. And I'm not against.
So this hurt everybody on the left. So this was literally
creators taking money.
Who did this help?
Where they can get it. My problem is disclosure. And I think when it comes to disclosure, yes, we should ask more from the creators we follow. We should also push groups like Chorus, right? The focus here should be on Chorus and 1630 and say, what are you guys doing to make sure that this program you're running is transparent? When are you going to release the list of creators in this program on your website? When are you going to upload the contract that outlines the stipulations they have to agree to be part of this?
I mean, they tried to say, like, we have pictures of our content creators on the website. It's like, no, you have pictures of your largest content creators on your website.
Program. And what is your selection criteria for creators that are part of the program?
Yes.
And how are you ensuring that is equitable?
Yes.
Again, I'm going to test this. I'm literally going to apply to Chorus to see if they even entertain it, because based on some of the metrics that they say that they're willing to work with some creators, I kind of meet the criteria.
So those are the questions we should be asking rather than going
So we'll see.
To like Aaron Parnas's comments.
And then I'll ask, from the inside, just be like, hey, so we need to be like very open about this, right?
Being like, you're a shill or whatever. Like that ultimately doesn't move things forward.
No, and I guess I just a caveat, just as I don't.
That's why I said it as soon as this happened.
Taylor, I really don't think people should be smearing these individual creators. I think none of this is actually productive.
This is laughable because of Taylor Lorenz lying her ass off. What was she telling lies about?
I do think it's interesting. Like I meant to say,
I mean, again, Francesca's been pretty good on this one too, where she's simultaneously being welcoming to Taylor's points, but also trying to be like, hey, you did inadvertently defund the left. Good job.
The last thing, last thing is the selection is very key. And a lot of these creators, like I hadn't heard of, they have a small following, and I'm like, good for them, whatever. And then you see David Pakman, and you're like, in what world
you need $8,000 too?
Guy who's been on internet as long as Democracy Now! In need of an incubator program? Like that just belies the entire thing. What he has been overwhelmingly is super Zionist, super silent on Palestine. I know it. I know it for a fact. I know he is. He wanted me on his show like a year ago, and I was like, BT dubs, run up to the election, but I am going to talk about Gaza. Didn't get a call back. Like I was like, okay, fine. There is a reason people are being selected, and it's because their selective reporting, Midas touch, squarely focused only on domestic politics and others. So anyway, Taylor, it's excellent reporting, and I'm sorry you've had to bear down all of this bullshit. And I think there is something very noble about kind of reporting the stories that are unpopular. You know what I mean? The stories that will...
got an iron in the fire where I'm working on doing a possible call-in show with some regulars if you want to start calling in.
Probably you'll take heat.
Set up a special Discord.
And I think
I want things to be better. That's what drives me crazy. These people are like, oh, you did it to help MAGA. Like, no, I want it because...
I mean, you inadvertently did help MAGA. Let's just be fucking real here. They're the only ones that are eating well, okay?
I actually want the Democrats to win. I want the Democrats to be better.
Yeah.
That's...
Taylor seems to have some very strong opinions on this for a reporter-journalist. Yeah, because isn't the whole, part of this, to have a little bit of, separation?
I would love to be able to, for them to improve their strategies. And I think critical reporting like this helps bring more transparency in the states. And we want to bring transparency to our political media ecosystem.
Donald James says, I joined Lorenz's Patreon because of this reporting. Taylor, what is that Patreon?
It's just Taylor Lorenz at Patreon. I just launched it last month, so I'm getting it off the ground. But I do have a bonus episode of my podcast coming, I think 2 weeks from now. It's going to be my first bonus episode. And I put behind the scenes stuff in there. So yes, I've just launched my Patreon, and I'm bear with me because I feel like a boomer because I don't totally know how to post on it sometimes.
Dude, same.
Please give me feedback. But yes, you can support me on Patreon, and you can support me on my newsletter. If you don't want the newsletter and you'd rather support my video work, then support me on Patreon. And
the newsletter is usermag.
Usermag.co. It's on substack.co.
Taylor, thank you.
All right, cool. That was awesome.